Hello everyone, welcome to the Armageddon Championship Series 2023, the show that has more sting than a sunburnt scorpion. We're happy to broadcast live from Berlin, and I'm Grandmaster Simon Williams, and I'm here with the lovely International Master Jovanka Houska.
Thank you very much, Simon. Awesome to be here as always, because yesterday we had such an exciting day of action. First up, Gunay Mammadzada put on such a powerful display, and we were treated to the second Armageddon of the tournament. So let's take a look at yesterday's highlights. Day 5 began with a huge battle between Gunay Mammadzada and Alina Kashlinskaya. In the first game, Gunay with the white pieces got a more comfortable position and in the closing seconds converted that advantage into a mating attack. Inspired by her first victory, Gunay played the second game confidently and comfortably pushed Alina down to the lower bracket. Queen goes to D2 and that's it, handshake.
In the second match of the day, we saw Bibisara face off against Humpy Koneru. Bibisara, the reigning Blitz world champion, won the first game, but then Humpy came back and leveled the score, taking it to Armageddon. Bibisara, though, was just too quick. Humpy didn't move in time and lost. Bibisara going through to the next round. Great action there, and we're bound to get some more great action today. But let's just have a look at how some of the previous tournaments have gone and this tournament.
Let's check out that format. And the Armageddon Championship Series did kick off in March with the Americas, and that's where Wesley So and Sam Shanklin both qualified for that grand finale, which takes place in September. And in April, it was the turn of Asia and Oceania, and there it was Nordibek Abdusatorov and Gukash, both young teenagers that also qualified into the big final. And now we are right in the middle of Women's Week.
That's right, and the only other one after this is the European and Africa Regional Series, and the top two players from each event go through to the grand final, which is going to be fantastic. All events are broadcast live from the World Chess Club in Berlin on Unter den Linden, and this is an amazing venue. Pop along if you're in town. You might spot some of the players.
And talking about players, we have to check out our roster, and those who are grayed out, they are eliminated from the competition. And today we are going to see some big names in action: Humpy Koneru, Alexandra Kosteniuk, as well as Alina Kashlinskaya and Elisabeth Paehtz.
And we can now have a look at the money situation. Sara and Nana already knocked out, but they get €3,500 already. But today's action is going to be very exciting because you can see the players there. They're on €3,500, but if they win, they get to the €5,000 mark. So loads of money to play for.
Definitely. Very exciting. And of course, none of this would have been possible without our partners. And we have to mention Kaspersky. As a technology and digital privacy company, Kaspersky supports the secure advancement of chess in the digital space and its expansion into online tournaments. A perfect combination of human excellence and strong technology.
That's right, and what is happening today? Well, let's bring up our favorite graphic, and we're now down into the lower section, and the tension again is at maximum, because if any player loses, they go home. So there's no second chances anymore, and they're getting near to the end. They're getting near to the major money stage.
Absolutely. I mean, the heat is on, and let's take a look at the two pairings we will see today. Elisabeth Paehtz will face off against Humpy Koneru, whilst Alexandra Kosteniuk plays against her former teammate Alina Kashlinskaya.
And we can have a look at the first pairing in a bit more depth here. Elisabeth versus Humpy. These two have been playing for a long, long time, but Humpy has quite a formidable lead of 8-2 in all formats over Elisabeth, so she'll have to be favourite. But Elisabeth has been playing well, and she is in our hometown, Berlin, which must be an advantage.
And let's check out those impressive stats. She became a grandmaster just last year at 37 years old. She's undoubtedly the strongest woman player in Germany ever, as well as being the winner of the European Women's Rapid Championship. And fun fact, both Elisabeth and her father are grandmasters, making them the only grandmaster father and daughter duo on the planet. And let's hear more from Elisabeth herself.
Chess is a skill, if you learn it from the early age, it's not connected to IQ. You need some mechanism you need for mathematics, like to calculate, but it's not like that you have to find the way of calculation. It's given automatically because of the experience you're brought up in the game of chess. So according to the father of Judith, Sofia and Susan Polgar, it is enough to have an average IQ to get anyone with right teaching and good background into the top elite. I would say that chess is more a game of creativity, psychological strengths, stability, and of course also concentration abilities. Actually, I don't think myself I'm a scientist because I have absolutely no idea about mathematical terms or anything connected to science. A humanist, I would rather describe myself because for me fairness is a very, very important issue, and also principles and self-respect. So that I would connect rather to be a humanist over a scientist.
Lizzie is a great player, but her opponent is also a fantastic player, and she's playing against Humpy Koneru. And Humpy was one of the youngest ever grandmasters, not just in women's events, but males events at the age of 15. And you can just see some of the other achievements that she has already got. Let's have a look more deeply in her own words.
I think becoming a professional player is not an easy task. You need to be psychologically strong, you have to be self-disciplined, and you have to be good at calculation, kind of tactics of solving problems. You need to have a lot of presence of mind, especially when you are playing shorter time controls. And apart from that, it's important to maintain the fitness as well. I'm more into philosophy nowadays. I don't think much about the results or what will happen in the next thing. So whatever comes in my way, I'm ready to accept that. It's important that I enjoy the game, and it's also important for me to play some good games. It's not about the result. I just wanted to do whatever I can, do my best.
And we are certainly going to be in for a lot of enjoyment. And we are less than 1 minute away from the start of play. And let's remind ourselves of the format. The players will play 2 games of blitz at 3 minutes plus 2 seconds. And if the match is tied after these 2 games, then it will all be decided by the crowd favorite, Armageddon.
That's right, and Armageddon means that white has 5 minutes, but black has 4, and white needs to win. A very important person playing a part in this event is also the arbiter. And we can see Anastasia here. She's in charge of any fights that might break out, very unlikely as that is. But any disputes, Anastasia will make sure things are put right. They're getting so near now to kick off, 10 seconds. You can see them sitting down. We have Humpy with the white pieces, a bit of an advantage. And they're off before the time has even got there. They're very eager today.
They are certainly keen, but Humpy is yet to make the first move, and now they have begun in earnest. And we see Humpy open up with her knight, and now she develops her queen's pawn. And Elisabeth, she needs to unsettle Humpy. Humpy has a very solid, very harmonious style, and well, here comes a small surprise from the Indian Grandmaster. She's actually now already fianchettoed the dark squared bishop.
Yes, and we see this opening nearly all the time from black, the King's Indian Defense. It's a very exciting opening, and it's an opening that you try to keep all the pieces on the board and go for the attack. Humpy, as Jovanka was saying though, is keeping things very calm. She's trying not to push too much. She's just playing sensible moves, and I totally agree with Jovanka that what Elisabeth needs to do to have a chance is complicate things. Humpy is a great positional player. We saw her score against Elisabeth is high. So really, Humpy wants to play positional, not get messed up with tactics. Elisabeth should try to go crazy if she can.
And talking about going crazy, she's already made the first attempt at seizing the initiative. She's jumped in with her knight into the middle of the board, and she's saying to Humpy, that's not her name, Humpy.
It's a good name, though.
It's
I
a
like
very
it.
nice name.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. Good company is Humpy. And but this is a great move, I think, because you also have less space with the black pieces here, and this might be able to swap off one knight. When you have less space in chess, you should try to swap your pieces off, so you're kind of clearing out your bedroom. I'm sure all of you were told off as a kid by your parents to not clean your bedroom. This is what black is trying to do here.
Absolutely. And again, decision time for Elisabeth. How does she bolster that knight in the middle? And she decides to do it with a pawn. And I have to say, I really do like the position that Humpy has achieved. It really fits in with her style. The pawn structure is relatively stable, and she has good pieces.
Yeah, there might be a little idea that black knight coming out to use a pin. This pin, if you look at the dark square bishops, they're lining up against each other. So is that knight going to go there? No, Elisabeth goes for a safer option, just rerouting the knight into the center of the board. So far, it does seem that Humpy has got the kind of position she would like to get. She's got that open file. Her rook works in a straight line. It takes over that open file, and she's avoided tactics, and that's the advantage having the white pieces. When you have the white pieces, you should be able to dictate the kind of middle game position you want to get. That's really the advantage of having white.
Absolutely, and she has determined the nature of the game, and now Lizzie actually moving the queen to the edge of the board, threatening the pawn on a2. So I'm fully expecting Humpy just to step one square with her a-pawn and try to kick that queen away.
Yeah, I don't understand this last move from Lizzie, and you can see the evaluation bar's a little bit in Humpy's favor. Just move the pawn. You're threatening to move the pawn next to it, so Lizzie has to move her queen again. Did it really help inducing that move from Humpy? I'm not convinced it did. And another problem that Elisabeth has is her bishop on the light squares. That bishop is still sleeping in bed. It's a lazy piece. That piece needs to get into the game.
And that's why you see Humpy immediately double up on the c-line. She is threatening to come to the 7th row with her queen and just penetrate the black position. Elisabeth actually now in trouble.
Yeah, I don't believe the evaluation bar here. I totally agree that white has a very nice advantage. That queen, as Jovanka said, can come nearly all the way up and just try to control the position. The one problem Humpy might have, which she had yesterday, is her time. So she really has to improve her speed in this game, no matter what the position is like. Elisabeth moving her knight, now her sleepy bishop might be able to get into the game. But if I was white here, I'd just put the queen in, and she has done. In she goes.
And there you can see Elisabeth's heart rate did go up to 120 into the danger zone. And
can we hear you sing "Welcome to the Danger Zone"?
Not today.
Ah.
And we do see a trade of bishops on the board, and okay, she has to capture that back with a knight because the pawn on e7 was up for grabs. And I have to say one thing about Humpy: she might have been playing slowly, but when the time came, she had good instincts. She was able to speed up.
And you can see this move, the rook there, really penetrating right into black's position. And the other white rook can come behind it now, which I expect it will. And Humpy is dominating that open line with her rooks. And it's small advantages like this which give you the win. Can Elisabeth find some counterplay? Great move from Elisabeth, trying to kick that rook away. That was very well played, and it's still a nice time advantage for Elisabeth, but she's just got to navigate these slight problems with her position.
But Elisabeth seems to be determined to accelerate the play. I mean, she's just actually blocked in her bishop, perhaps preparing an e5 jump, but no, she's saying she wants to keep the position solid. But look at the way that Humpy is maneuvering all the pieces. Now she's attacking the weak b6 pawn. Elisabeth under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, Elisabeth is defending, and because it's getting near the end game, White is bringing the king into the center, and Humpy is really picking up the pace. A great move there, gaining space on the king side. It's still okay for Elisabeth. Both heart rates reasonably high, but Elisabeth's is higher. They're both moving quicker. I think this is what you need to do. White has certainly a bit of an advantage because Black's pieces are very passive, but it's okay. Elisabeth so far has defended extremely well.
And there we can see some maneuvering going on with Humpy's knight. And like you say, Humpy's position is excellent. And the reason why it's so good is because her rooks have got a lot more flexibility. She had the potential to open up the position on the king side. And now we see Elisabeth do some good moves, a good idea behind it. Just trade off all the pieces. The rooks are off the board, and it feels like Elisabeth is no longer in any danger.
Elisabeth has defended very well in a tricky position so far, and the more pieces get exchanged, the more nearer a draw you get if there's not a material advantage. Neither side has any extra pawns, extra pieces. Humpy's still a little bit better because she has more space, and she's now maneuvering her bishop. Another problem that Lizzie has, a slight problem, is you see her pawns are in front of each other. They're called double pawns. Double pawns, it means double trouble. They're not good. They get in the way. They trip over each other. But can White find a way to open it up?
Ooh.
At the moment, great defense.
It is great defense, but just look at Humpy's pieces. They're working their way to the king side, and she still has the opportunity to blast open the position, and she goes for it. She actually pushes forward in the center and activates her knights.
And the pace is really picking up now. They're both around the 30-second mark. Humpy is doing a great job of maintaining the time at the moment, and she's moving a lot quicker. But I don't know, I'm actually starting to like Lizzie's position now, because if you look at White's pawns on the left-hand side, they're on dark squares. Dark square bishops remain on the board. They could be a target, White's pawns. I don't think Lizzie is in danger at the moment at all.
Well, a big threat coming from Humpy here. She's actually threatening to pick up the D pawn and give a check to the black king, and that is what's happening anyhow. And now, well, there's a big square that's being conceded, and the white king has now gone walkabout.
Yeah, and the king in the ending is a very powerful piece, and the king has penetrated right into Elisabeth's position, and this is bad news for Lizzie, because the knight, the white knight, is ready to come to that square where the king was. In the end game, your king gains strength. At the start of the game, you keep your king safe, but the longer the game goes on, the more you use your king. And now we see one pawn dropping. Will another pawn drop? This is really bad news for Lizzie here. She's 2 pawns down now.
She is 2 pawns down. The only solace that she has is perhaps she can set up a blockade, and there she goes on the loose with her one active piece, the knight. But the clock is a problem. She's now under 10 seconds. Where's she going? Yes, you have to play safety chess. Oh no, and now another pawn has dropped off.
And the pair of knights have been exchanged. Lizzie's only got 1 active pawn, but White has stopped that pawn from moving.
And
this
now
position
bishop
is
check,
just
and that's
losing.
it.
Well, I don't think you can swap the bishops off, so it's not over quite yet. But Elisabeth is shorter on time. There's still some chances here, and they've repeated the position twice. If they do it one more time, it's a draw. So actually, Humpy's got to be a little bit careful. It's clearly winning, but that black pawn is a very dangerous pawn, and the king now is activating. Lizzie is doing well to get any chances at all in this tough position.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all to do with the quality of the pawns. And there we see Humpy actually advancing her B pawn, and it's a race. What's she going to do? Is she actually going to grab the pawn on A3? And Elisabeth 5 seconds away. She instead moves her king back.
Yeah, I mean, I fear that this ending is probably now, it's not much you can do, because Black's pawns are both, again, on dark squares. There's dark square bishops, so even best case scenario, Humpy might be able to win the other pawn here.
How is this king? Oh.
Well, I think that pawn there, and that is unfortunately the end. That check is going to swap the bishops off, and White's pawns will queen. Humpy wins the first game there in very good style, I have to say, Jovanka.
It was trademark Humpy. You know, she had a very solid position. Her king was very safe. She swapped off the pieces, and then she just showed her expertise in the end game. Brilliant play.
We can have a look at some of the highlights from the game now, and this was the start of the problems for Lizzie. That white queen coming in on the open file, and that gave Humpy a bit of an advantage for a long time. Lizzie actually defended brilliantly, and let's just see if we can have a look at any more little parts of the game. Here, Humpy getting 2 rooks on that open file, and you know, that's all still under control from Lizzie, but Humpy just played such good positional chess there. She kind of did what she does so well, controlling the game, moving her pieces very subtly to beautiful squares, probing advantages.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things about Humpy's play is that she has very good instincts, and she's able to wait in a very positive way. And there we saw a lot of maneuvering going on. You know, we see the knight actually moving backwards and forwards, sideways. It confused Elisabeth, so that when Humpy made her breakthrough, Elisabeth's position just collapsed.
It did, and that was a tough game. I mean, around about here, this is where the white king was just dominating. Look at the white king. It's like Pac-Man, taking another pawn there. A very hungry king, and Lizzie was really lost here. She did well just to keep the game going, and you can see her picking up the pace. Maybe that's what she needs to do, play at a bit of a quicker pace in the next game. But a fantastic game from Humpy, using all the advantages. She was never in trouble there at all. Tough for Lizzie.
It is very tough, and there we see the closing moments. The bishops will get traded, and it is an elementary win for Humpy. Well, the players do have less than 1 minute to recover from their previous game. There will be a lot of emotions riding high, but for Elisabeth Paehtz, she is in a must-win situation. She needs to burn the boats. There is no plan B for her. She needs to feel the fear and do it anyhow. And for Humpy Koneru, it's a different strategy completely. She just simply has to, and I'm going to borrow the term from football, park the bus.
I've never heard that in football. Park the bus.
Yeah, you park the bus in front of the goal.
I like it.
Everyone there. No way in.
No way in the goal, and that's it. This is why it's going to be very exciting. But at least for Lizzie fans, she has the white pieces. That is an advantage because you can dictate the game. Lizzie won't want to have the same kind of game as she had in the first one. She'll want to have a game with more tactics, with more attacking chances. That's where she shines. So I expect she's going to move the king's pawn. That would be my guess here, because you often get a more tactical game, and she does. She moves straight in with the king's pawn, and a bit of a surprise there, the bishop's opening.
It is a surprise, and I think this is a good idea, because I have to say one thing about Humpy. Humpy knows how to lock the position down with the black pieces. She's very experienced. She's been playing this opening for most of her life, and well, there you can see Humpy just reeling out the moves. She knows exactly what to do.
Yeah, Lizzie also seems quite well prepared in this, the opening stage of the game. Both sides developing their pieces very standard fashion, getting their knights and their bishops in. Remember the 3 rules at the start of the game. Try to control the center, get your knights and bishops, and castle your king. And they're doing those rules now before they come up with secondary plans. And there you go, Lizzie castling her king. And the good news for Lizzie is she's got all the pieces on the board, but the good news for Humpy is she's got a pretty solid position here.
Yep, her king is not in danger. And as we know, there's one weakness in Humpy's armor is that she does not like playing with an unsafe king. And well, the light square bishop gets developed, but promptly gets attacked away to the g6 square.
I have to say, Humpy is looking very calm though, and her heart rate there, 97, is really, I think, showing that she has now got used to this format, and she's settling in, and her chess standard seems to be getting better and better every single match. Lizzie breaking in the center.
I know, and we're going to see how Humpy deals with this one, because I'm predicting that the heart rate will start to slowly increase as Elisabeth has now accelerated the play, and now we see a trade in the center, and Elisabeth has actually turned the game from something something dynamic into something very strategical. It's going to be all about this weak black pawn in the middle.
Yeah, this black pawn in the middle of the board is called an isolated pawn. It's isolated from its friends, the other pawns, and it's a target for white to attack. But it's okay for black because black has some advantages herself. She has the two bishops. Those two bishops are flowing in lots of nice squares, but Humpy is a minute down. This seems to be her normal strategy. She only picks up the pace when she needs to, but she's got to find a good plan here, and that's why she's taking her time.
And she goes back to the starting square with her knight. Somewhat unusual, but has a great idea behind it. She just wants to develop the knight to c6 and kick back the white queen. But Elisabeth is not giving her the time. Instead, she's saying, look, I've developed my bishop and attacked your queen. Where are you going to move it? It's a great move by Elisabeth.
Very good move. Elisabeth is flying with her pieces, and then we talked about getting your knights and bishops into the game. That bishop has come with what we call tempo, because next move, if Lizzie gets a chance, she will capture the black queen. So Humpy has to waste a move, waste a tempo doing something about that, and that's not an ideal move from Humpy because it weakens the king, but she now gains a tempo back by attacking the white queen. Can you go bishop takes bishop? I don't think so.
I don't think you can, but it certainly was on Elisabeth's radar, and instead she decides, okay, you know what? I'm just going to drop the queen back and just continue with the plan, which is just to line up the rooks into the center and again put pressure on that weak queen's pawn.
And Humpy now activating her queen, which is attacking one of white's pawns on the left-hand side. But Humpy's time, well, she's going to have to go into Humpy mode, which means going a lot quicker. But how's Lizzie going to defend this pawn? It's not so simple. Will the queen have to retreat? That seems like a sensible way to do it. Nope, she's defended the pawn with her rook. And next move, Lizzie would like to bring the other rook over. Humpy fighting for the open file. Lizzie pressurizing that isolated pawn in the middle. Humpy defending that isolated pawn in the middle. It still seems fairly even. Both sides playing very good chess at the moment. A high standard game, this one.
Yeah, but I do feel that there is danger for Humpy. She has to play very actively because white was threatening to actually jump in with a knight to h4 and then jump in again to the f5 square. That's why Humpy's like, well, you know what? I'm not going to let that happen on my watch. And instead, I'm going to actually threaten to jump in with a knight to c4, attack the rook.
Yeah,
this is very tense.
Yeah, this last move from Humpy was quality, wasn't it? I mean, that black knight is trying to find some squares on the left-hand side of the board, attacking the rook, and Elisabeth's now got to decide, can she take the pawn in the middle of the board? Because this is a big option. The rook can take the isolated pawn. It won't win a pawn because the black queen will then take a pawn back, but maybe it's time to pick up the pace, and she has captured that pawn. She has picked up the pace, and you can see the evaluation bar is a little bit in white's favor, but the more pieces that get exchanged, the nearer to a draw. Humpy only needs to get a draw to go through.
I know, and well, both sides will be feeling the tension. And what is Humpy going to do? Is Humpy actually going to go knight takes knight? Is she actually going to go bold and actually capture that pawn on b2? My money is on Humpy actually trading knights.
I would slightly prefer to be white here because white's got the safer king. In actual fact, the black king's a little bit exposed on what we say the 7th rank. So it's slightly better for white. Okay, Humpy has moved the knight in. That could be a very clever move. You're attacking the queen, or it could be a mistake. I really don't know. I did not consider that move from Humpy. But also, black's queen is threatening to come in with a devastating check, taking the pawn near to the white king. So Elisabeth's got to deal with this. I'm not sure an easy way to do so. You might have to swap queens here.
Oh, but swapping queens would not be a good idea for Elisabeth.
Hang on a minute, can't you go rook takes knight now?
You can't because the queen will come and give a check. And and that's it, is a huge blunder.
I fell into
there
this.
We see Elisabeth. She knows she has made a mistake. She knows there is no way back from this, and look at that, the queen does pick up the rook. And Elisabeth is now in a must-win situation with a completely lost position.
Yeah, that was a very crafty tactic from Humpy. She's showing real class today, playing brilliant tactic. Hang on, is the evaluation bar went a little bit mad there. I don't know what happened there.
It's keeping us on our toes.
Humpy's only got 20 seconds, Jovanka.
That is something definitely that Elisabeth can play on, and especially when you consider that the knights are very tricky pieces and they combine excellently with the queen.
Yep, she needs to find some kind of plan to try and get to the black king here. It's kind of an all-in situation. She's attacking the bishop. She's moving the queen to the king side. I like this way of playing. And now Harry comes in. She's making a little bit of progress here. It's a little bit dangerous for black, this position. The knight comes in. They're all coming towards the black king.
There's a big move, right? The knight will jump into the e7 square and...
She can play that now.
And
game on.
It is.
Game on. This is now going to go to an equal ending, which is a big difference to what the position was before.
Yes, that's true, but still the bishop is better in these type of endings over the knight. And now, remember, Lizzie is in a must-win situation. I think this turn of events will actually favor Humpy.
But things have got better for Lizzie. She was completely lost, and now she's just worse. So it's not the end of the world. The knights are tricky. She's got a time advantage. I think she's got to try to move her king into the position. And first of all, she secures her pawn. Will the king come up or into the center? I actually think this is quite okay for white, because black's pawns, they're not on great squares.
Well,
and the white king is coming into the center. There's chances here, and that's all you can ask for.
There's definitely chances, but take a look at that A pawn. That is super weak, and well, and now the H pawn is also going to fall off the board. To win this one, it's going to be almost mission impossible.
Yeah, Humpy again has kept her cool so well, and more pawns are getting swapped off. This is Elisabeth's last chance. That pawn, if she can make it a queen, then of course she will win. Keep pushing the pawn, Lizzie. It's your only chance. And black is trying to get back with her king to stop it. One of the problems Lizzie has is black's pawn on the side of the board. Here it comes. And that black pawn is going to be so hard to stop.
Yeah, absolutely. And take a look at how the black king and bishop combine beautifully to stop the rogue c-pawn. And there you can see Humpy knows she's got it in the bag. All she needs to do is just wait with the bishop. Nothing can go wrong here.
Yeah, Elisabeth's got to try to move her king in, but this allows the black king in. And I feel... yeah, there's not much Lizzie can do here. We know how good Humpy is in the ending as well. She's so precise at the end part of the game, and she's really just played such high quality. Another pawn goes down, and there's not really any chance here at all for Lizzie anymore, unfortunately. And we can see the black king is just dominating the board. White is in what we call Zugzwang, and that means Humpy wins the game.
Yeah, and eliminates Elisabeth from the tournament.
Yes, Humpy won that second game. She just played really well. I mean, the quality of her play there, she seemed to settle into that match much better than she has in any other match.
She picked up the pace. She found positions that suited her style, and what can I say? Very impressive performance from Humpy.
It was. I mean, just throughout that game, she just kept her cool. Lizzie may have had some slight chances. We see around here that Lizzie has some play against black's pawn in the middle, but Humpy just got enough activity at all time, and the real critical moment came a little bit later when Lizzie loses the exchange, and it was around about here. You can see in this moment, I thought this next move Lizzie played was a good move, but it was actually a blunder. This check picks up the rook, and that was really the losing idea for Lizzie. Again, she got a little bit of hope after that, but it was a bit cruel. It's like you're losing. Oh, here's a little bit of hope. Oh, I'll take that hope away again.
And here was a moment where Elisabeth managed to salvage back some material, but alas, she only salvaged enough to get herself into a drawn endgame. And this is unfortunate, but very good news for Humpy Koneru.
Yeah, and a deserved winner, Humpy, there with very good play. And we see at the end of the game here, Lizzie just doesn't have enough material. She needs more pawns to try and win this one. Her only chance is to get a queen, but her pawn can always be taken by the bishop if it continued forward. So there just wasn't enough there to do the job. So really great play from Humpy and a tough match for Lizzie. But when your opponent plays that well, it's always going to be trouble. And she was so calm as well, Humpy, throughout that one, which was the most impressive thing.
Yes, and there we see the final handshake, and Humpy Koneru proceeds into the next round, and we say goodbye to Elisabeth.
And we're now going to go to an interview with the loser and with David. So we'll shoot over there now.
Yeah, we're here with Elisabeth. Elisabeth, very sorry about how this turned out. Talk to me a little bit of how you're feeling right now.
Well, actually, I was a bit slow in the ending in the first game, and I shouldn't have lost this one. And then in the second game, okay, I mean, I blundered, and then it was actually a draw, but, well, it would not help.
How did you feel coming into this match playing against Humpy, who's obviously such a strong player?
Well, actually, like for me, this tournament is like a lottery, so it doesn't really matter who you play. It's like always a matter of daily shape, so I don't think that there is someone outstandingly better than the other one, depending pretty much, I think, on the daily shape.
Well, since you say it's a lottery, is there anybody that you're rooting for now that your tournament is over?
Actually, like, the funny part is like when they ask me who you think is favorite in the tournament or who would win it, I said Humpy, so now I think she should prove it.
Yeah, and unfortunately you weren't able to go to La Traviata also today.
Yes, this is my booby prize is gone, this is true.
What's next for your chess career? Any tournaments planned, any travel plans? What are you doing next?
Actually, like, I have a quite big thing end of the month, but I cannot talk about it, but it's quite big. And then after that, I go to the Cairns Cup for the women's international super tournament. And of course, it's classics. And there, of course, I hope I will be well prepared.
Last thing I want to ask you, what did you think about this tournament overall, like your performance, the format, etc.?
I think the format is pretty good. In terms, it is very good for media, and this is very important for chess in general. So I think even like that tournament could be an inspiration for more tournaments like this, because first of all, it's quite quick, which is less exhausting for the players, but it's also very friendly for spectators. They have a lot of fun just watching the games with the live analysis, and I wish that there would be more tournaments like this, because I think this kind of formats have the biggest future, at least when you want to connect chess into media and into, well, spread it into the world.
Well, Elisabeth, you are the native here, and we're very great to have you here, and thank you for being such a great participant of the tournament. Guys, Simon, Jovanka, back to you.
Thank you, David. And it is my great pleasure to say that we have Humpy Koneru, who just defeated Elisabeth Paehtz, with us in the studio. Now, talk us through that epic match.
Well, first game I decided to play very balanced and to play out of the opening. So I think white gained a slight advantage. In the opening, I felt like she should play knight dc5 instead of knight d6. But okay, it was not easy to convert in shorter time control. Yeah. So slowly it got diluted, and it was fairly equal play. And towards the end, somehow it worked out, and I got this d5 breakthrough.
Yeah.
And in the second game, okay, I gained an exchange trickily, and then I blundered with rook e8. She could just simply take queen e8, bishop e8, and knight e7. My mistake was to play bishop e4. I should have played h5. I completely missed that I couldn't take the pawn on g2.
Mm-hmm. Actually, so we missed this.
We
missed queen takes e8.
Oh, okay.
Knight e7. It was so quick, so she could have actually.
He actually took and immediately lost.
Yeah. Wow.
And what were you feeling at that moment? Because obviously, after you played it, you must have seen that.
Yeah, I've seen that. But okay, I was just there was no time to even react. Yeah, it was so fast that she immediately went for knight e7.
Yeah. Wow. And it seemed like your heart rate was pretty good today. I mean, like the highest it got to was only 113, and you seemed very composed in that match. Did you feel composed?
Oh, of course, because today was do or die situation, so obviously I don't have a choice.
And did you have a certain strategy for this match?
Well, I just don't want to give the preparation. That's it. Just wanted to play the game over the board.
So that was your
Nothing beyond
intention,
that.
just play a position.
Yeah, in some new position over the board. Yeah, that's it.
And moving ahead, let's take a look at the brackets. And you will be facing next the winner between Alexandra Kosteniuk and Alina Kashlinskaya. Do you have any particular favorites?
No, not really. I think chess players cannot be choosy because we are always prepared to play against anyone.
But it must feel nice to be through now, a bit of pressure off and into the next round.
Yeah, at least I'm happy that I'm in the tournament.
Yeah, and so yesterday you lost to Bibisara. I mean, how did you cope after this loss?
Actually, it was not easy. I couldn't sleep as well. Okay, it's not just because of the loss, but I was having a completely winning position, and to lose in a fraction of seconds was... it was not easy to come out of it, yeah.
How did you do it? Do you have any tricks?
No, I was like, today I was playing more of blitz games online so that I could, forget about that. That's it, yeah.
Practice, well done. And now you can relax a little bit, hopefully, as you're through to the next round. And we're going to have our next match starting pretty soon. But we were very impressed with your play, very composed, but I can't believe we missed that tactic.
You suggested it, I was like,
yeah. We were getting too carried away with the match there.
It's tricky, just one more and it's over.
Yeah, that's true. And you guys are moving at such an incredible speed as well.
Yeah. That's it. Okay, so we're now sort of have a look and some highlights.
And we have to mention our partners, the FIDE Online Arena, which hosts rated tournaments and games 24 hours per day. Join the arena and you'll get a FIDE ID, profile on FIDE.com, access to pro chess community, official online ratings and titles, all recognized by the International Chess Federation. There's prize money tournaments and so much more. So play official games at chessarena.com.
Yeah, the next game is coming up very shortly, and it is a real humdinger of a game. We have Alexandra versus Alina, and both of these players are fantastic players. Leading in their score at the moment in classical chess is Alexandra. She has a 5-3 advantage and an overall 9-4 advantage on Alina, but I think they know each other well, and I'm expecting just a very, very close match.
Absolutely, and let's have a look at Alexandra Kosteniuk's stats. She became a grandmaster at 20 years old. She's been the Women's World Cup winner in 2021, the Women's World Rapid Champion in 2021 as well. And let's not forget, on top of all this, she's actually a former Women's World Champion. I mean, she has so many accolades to her name. So let's hear more from Alexandra Kosteniuk in her own words.
During the pandemics, when there were not so many tournaments, I wrote a whole article trying to explain, why there is such a gap between men and women. Because, well, chess is a sport, but it's an intellectual kind of sport, right? So why women are playing so weaker, in terms of the rating? I think it's a combination of things. First of all, it's historical and social. Chess used to be considered almost as a man's game. So women started playing chess in the 20th century, but still, the society and the prejudice toward being a professional women's chess player was such high, and it's quite high nowadays. When girls start playing chess, nobody considers them being possible to get to the very top. But in order to reach the very top, the summit, you really need to go for it from the very beginning.
Very interesting to hear that, actually, and yeah, she made some extremely good points in that mini little interview. And we're going to see how her match gets on against this fantastic player, Alina. And Alina was an international master at 20 years old. She's had some brilliant results there, as you can see. And let's hear a bit more from Alina.
I generally think that chess is connected with life, so I believe that, for example, for the majority of chess players, I think that if you're very calm in everyday life, you probably also have more positional style over the board. But of course there are exceptions. I think that chess is a game of mix of both creativity and mathematics, because on one hand you need to calculate a lot of lines, so mathematics is very useful, but on the other hand we would all become just computers if we wouldn't use the intuition and creativity. I graduated from psychology university, and the idea behind that was that psychology will help me in chess. I read a lot of psychology books, I watch movies about other sportsmen, and I think that all this stuff with motivation, stress, how you can handle the pressure, it all works. I mean, it all has a lot of meaning during the game.
Ooh, but will that psychology degree give her the upper edge? We'll find out, because we are less than 1 minute from the start of play. What do you think, Simon?
I just think this is going to be a very close one to call. I mean, on paper, I suppose you would say Alexandra is the favourite, but I've seen Alina perform fantastically well in person in events. She had a great performance in the Isle of Man competition, and it's going to be very, very close. So let's now get ready. It's only 25 seconds until it all lights up in our blue studio. I love that blue, and it's beautiful.
It is beautiful, I agree with you, and it's so spectacular. This is an interesting battle. We have Alexandra, who has a very aggressive style, who also plays Alina, who also loves to enjoy aggressive positions. But one thing that Alina has said she does not like losing control. And they are off, and Alexandra opening with the king's pawn, and it is a French defense from Alina Kashlinskaya.
Yeah, this is an opening I've played quite a lot myself, and there's advanced French, this is called, this particular variation. Alexandra is playing quite traditionally here, and the problem that black can often get in this position is a bit of lack of space. But normal moves being played by both sides. The black knights are coming into the middle. Black's got to get the bishop and the king safe, and white's got to do the same. White's still got to get a knight and bishop off the front row, get them into the battlefield and get her king safe. It's a normal position so far.
It is certainly a normal position so far, but I have to say, big decision in the air. Is Alexandra gonna actually snap off that knight and give Alina double pawns? And one of the bad things about the French is that often the light square bishop is just completely forced to become the most offensive piece ever. But it's a good defender.
Yeah, I mean, if I was white here, I'd be taking that knight off with the bishop, as you say, because you double black's pawns. It's a simple move to play. It does seem like Alina has come well prepared here, because she's making her moves quickly. Alexandra does take the knight off. This does double the pawns, and she now just castles her king. Black, though, has a very solid position. We mentioned before the game, Alina likes things to be safe and solid, and she's got that. I mean, Alina, don't get us wrong, is a brilliant tactical player as well, but with black, you're in more danger. Alexandra now preparing to gain space on the queen side by pushing the pawn next to that one 2 squares, which is a very standard idea. And you can use the white knight to attack the black queen at some point. This is also normal. This position's been seen thousands of times before. It's considered to be pretty equal, but with maybe a slight edge for white, but only a very small one. But black is solid, at least.
Yeah, black is solid, but I don't think black can just rest on their laurels. They do have to start taking control of the C line. They do have to perhaps think about maneuvers such as getting the knight to the A5 square, and that's now been taken away. But since that move is no longer an option, it's time to simply double up on the C line with a rook. That's it. And for Alexandra, she has to just put a knight on c5. If she gets a knight there, she can enjoy having that extra space.
So here comes the knight. The knight gains a tempo, attacks the black queen, and on the next move, the knight will sort of float back into the center, but a bit further up the board. The evaluation bar says it's dead even. I think white has some small positional edge here because it's easier to play for white. White has more space. Black is forced backwards into a bit of a cramped position. Black can try pushing pawns on the king side later on. This is a well-known idea, but at the moment, Alexandra is just improving her pieces. I don't know why she moved the rook there, because now black has stopped the white knight from coming in. But simple play from both sides. But hang on a minute. You know, we said black can move pawns on the king side.
Absolutely.
I think black missed a chance there. Black could have pushed the pawn in front of her king 2 squares. Very thematic idea, that.
Definitely, it is an idea. You know, the center is very stable, so it does allow the players to work on the wings. And now also another big moment on the board, because the rook has moved over to the c line, and one potential plan was actually to move the queen over 2 squares to the b7 square and get ready for an a5 pawn break. But Alina says simple is as simple does, and instead goes for a very straightforward plan of doubling on the c line and fighting for control there.
You can see their heart rates are creeping up now, unsurprisingly, as the game is now into the middle game section, the middle part of the game, and Alina is keeping this position solid and keeping things all under control. But Alexandra does have the extra space. It's too hard as of yet to call a winner in this game. What does black do here, I'm wondering? Does black push a pawn on the side of the board, try to destabilize white structure? Right on the left-hand side. Nope, she goes for a pawn push on the other side, and black now meets that, is met by h4, and they're sort of doing a little bit of just backwards and forwardsing at the moment, waiting for an opportunity.
Definitely waiting for an opportunity. With Alina's last move, she did threaten to do Simon's earlier plan of grabbing space with a g7, g5 pawn lunge, and that's why Alexandra just said nope, not on my watch. And a nice defensive move from Alina, because after all, in the blitz, it's all about protecting your own king. She's now covered the h6 square, and Alexandra now moving the queen up to d3 in order to perhaps put a queen on the a6 square.
Yeah, and I think where the action will happen is on this open line. We talked about this before. Where are there no pawns? It's called the C file, where the rooks are. And this is also the move I thought black could try to do, just to destabilize that edge of the board. And I think we're going to see stuff starting to happen on that open line very shortly. Maybe white will push the pawn forwards, and that open line will become really exposed for all the rooks. There could be mass exchanges, and we're going to see it happen now.
Absolutely. There we see the pawn advance, and now the knight is attacking the pawn. So Alexandra doesn't have so much time. She absolutely has to step up and protect that pawn. But take a look at the clock time. Alexandra just over 30 seconds and with a heart rate of 131. Whereas Alina Kashlinskaya, she has just under 45 seconds and also a very high heart rate as well. You can see it's pulsating red.
Yeah, but Alexandra's heart rate is a lot lower than it was the other day, and the position is still very balanced. They're both playing great chess, not giving each other any big chances. We do have this open file, and the black queen is on the open file, but can the black queen do anything on that open file? Not at the moment. White's advantage is still this space advantage, and white can use that space advantage to do better maneuvers. It seems like Alina is maybe not finding the right plan here, as her pieces don't seem to be improving. On the other hand, Alexandra's pieces are getting better. That white knight could jump into the middle now.
Exactly, it's going to jump into the middle and it's going to attack the f5 pawn. How are you going to do that? You have to, okay, she actually does a counterattack, but still, white is threatening that pawn.
A great move there from Alina. That pawn comes forwards. They're both getting very short on time. Alina finds a great opportunity to get some pressure. The white knight has to move. It's under attack. It comes back. And now black's pieces are coming over to the king side. The white knight comes to the left-hand side, but maybe the right-hand side is where the action will happen. They're under 20 seconds each here.
They are, and suddenly it is white's position that is on the verge of collapse. It is the h5 pawn that is going to be dropping, and we see it's all gone wrong for Kosteniuk.
Yeah,
14 seconds.
Black's bishops are very, very strong here, and black is swapping off some pieces, but she can now come in with the queen. The black queen infiltrates into white's structure. Can it come any further forwards? Well, no. First of all, brings the knight in. And you've got to ask yourself, whose king is safer? It does seem like black's king is safer, but the white queen and knight can coordinate brilliantly together, so maybe still very balanced here.
And 10 seconds for Alina, whilst Alexandra is just mobilizing the king. And it looks like both players are now panicking and can't find the correct way to proceed.
Well, I can understand that when they got 10 seconds left and the heart rates are getting up into astronomical
4, 3
things here. And the problem that Alexandra has is just her king is a little bit more exposed. And this is very difficult. I think she's going to lose a pawn now. A pawn drops off there. So she goes for a counterattack, but this is going to lose another pawn.
It's going to fall off.
This is now a losing position for Alexandra, but a great move. She's found a way to get a counterattack. She's not over. It's not over yet.
Absolutely not over yet, but we've seen this combination before. Knight against a bishop. And when the position is so open, it's very difficult for the knight to fight against such a long-range piece. But knights are crafty. I mean, there was a threat on the board. 6 seconds for Alexandra Kosteniuk. Can she hold on?
Well, the problem is she is 2 pawns down, and 2 pawns in the ending is too many. They are short of time, but all that black has to do is try to get one of those pawns and make it a queen. So, I mean, the thing is the knight can't defend against 2 pawns on the side of the board, and black is now using her queen to slowly get into the game, swapping off some pawns that are not needed. This is a winning position for Alina, but can she convert it into a win?
Yeah, it certainly looks that way now. She's reaching for the h-pawn, but that was going to be a mistake because it could have been a check on a g6. But there comes the king. 3 seconds. Alexandra resigns, and big victory for Alina with the black pieces.
Massive victory for Alina. Winning with black counts a little bit more because you have the advantage with the white pieces, and that game was so close. It was like, you know, just they were, you know, equal most of the time, and it got to the time scramble at the end where Alina just played a little bit better. Her king was safer, and at this time limit, it's really your king's safety is just paramount to success.
Absolutely. And let's have a look at some of those important moments. And here we see Alexandra getting a very comfortable position out of the opening. The pawn structure is stable. It seems like white has a small edge, but Alina actually very effectively neutralized that edge by just adopting a very simple plan of doubling her pieces on the c-line. And here you can see it is maximum tension. Trades galore there on that open line. And once Alina took control, I feel like here black is more than okay.
Yes, I mean, it was looking like okay for both sides, but this is where things started to change when Alina, on where the kings were both placed, was pushing forwards, and really she's got 4 pawns on that area board. Alexandra only has 3, and this extra pawn gave her king that little bit better protection, and Alina with her pieces starts to throw them forwards, causing Alexandra all sorts of problems there, and things were really heating up. But it's so hard to play good moves when you've got 10 or so seconds left.
And watch the clock there. You see Alexandra making those moves when she only has 3 seconds, and here it comes. And here she makes a critical mistake. She puts her king on the wrong square, and suddenly 1 pawn drops, and then another one. And 2 pawns deficit is 2 pawns too many.
Yeah, 2 pawns too many, and that ending was always going to be lost as long as black didn't lose on time. But this level, 1 extra pawn is enough to win the ending, but 2 is just far too many. And the game ended here because at some point, one of those extra pawns will get all the way to the end of the board and become a queen. The black king is going to come and help those pawns go forwards. And, well, at this level, again, they don't need to play out the game. So we've got the next game coming up, and we know what needs to happen. Alexandra needs to win with the black pieces to get Armageddon. Can she do it, Jovanka?
We've seen it done before. Humpy Koneru also found herself in that situation, and she took it to Armageddon. And we also saw Alina actually lose with the white pieces against Sara Khadem in the very first match. It's happened before. It can be done. It's just to play, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Well, I'm not sure how they can enjoy the moment. It's so stressful. Just think, all those lights, all the pressure, all that prize money. And also, if you lose, you are out of the competition. It's not, you don't get any more chances. So Alexandra has to win. She's got all that tension, but if anyone could do it, it'll be Alexandra. She has a world of experience. Are we going to see another King's Indian defense? No. This is what we call the Queen's Indian defense. It's a very good positionally founded opening from black. Black just keeps pieces on the board, gets the king safe, and waits for some opportunities later on.
And, well, we were talking about Alexandra getting aggressive opportunities later on. Alina is the one that says, you know what, I'm going to play in the most aggressive way possible. I'm going to give up a pawn, to which Alexandra said, no, not happening on my watch. But this does mean that, well, Alina does have an amazing foothold in the center.
Yeah, the opening has worked out well for Alina, definitely. This structure is known to be better for white. It's not as bad as the evaluation bar says for Alexandra. Lots of players, top players, have played this kind of thing, but white has more space. And if you look at the bishops, black's bishop on the left-hand side, that light bishop on the light squares, it's looking at those white pawns. It's a brick wall, and you can't really aim at a brick wall because you can't go anywhere. There's a wall in the way of your aim, and that's another issue. So Alexandra's opening hasn't gone the way she would have wanted, I would have said here.
I would completely agree with you. However, the position is closed, as you've mentioned, so there is scope for error. And there we see Alexandra actually moving the dark square bishop, and she's getting ready to kick that knight away from the f5 square.
I mean, the evaluation bar really likes white, and I wonder if white can move the queen in. Okay, she pushes a pawn up the board. I mean, what I really like about Alina's play here, she only needs to draw to go through. And you know what they say? Don't play for a draw to get a draw, because you will lose generally because you play too nervously. Play aggressively, play for the win, be brave. And she's been incredibly brave by going forwards on the king side here, and that comes with some risk because it opens your king up later on if things don't work out. But I like this approach. Definitely.
They do say when you advance your pawns, you do leave behind weak squares. But Alina is simply adopting an approach that I call the clamp. She's just simply going to grab as much space as possible and enjoy it until the end of the game. And Alexandra, there you see she's rerouting a knight to the c5 square, where it will put pressure on the e4 pawn.
Seems fairly balanced though. I mean, another thing we've got to remember, nothing has been exchanged yet, so we're nowhere near a draw. It's going to get very exciting in a minute or so's time. White now is trying to play on both sides of the board. Alexandra making a bit of room for her pieces on the right hand side. It is easier for white to play because of that space advantage, but when things open up, black will get chances.
I know, and talking about opening up, I'm wondering whether the time is right to do it now. Just pick up the pawn in front of the rook and just move it 2 squares and challenge the center. It's very playing with fire.
It is, yeah. I mean, this gains space as well, doesn't it? But you're right, that pawn break is something white can consider doing at some point. But
oh no, she's gone for your favorite move.
oh, of course, I like this better because you don't really want to open up black's pieces if you can. Let's do as much as you can everywhere else before you use a break. And this is kind of just suffocating Alexandra, gaining more space, gaining more territory in typical battle fashion here. So I think there's a pretty good strategy as well.
Yeah, I'm really liking it as well. And Alexandra now just burning some time on the clock in order to come up with a plan. You have to remember, Alexandra is in a must-win situation, and that is why she decides to break out, but it does concede e6 square, and well, Alina pounces on that idea by moving the bishop to a different diagonal.
They both look so focused, don't they? They're both in 130 heart rate, but you can just see the tension, the pressure on their faces. And oh, there's a big opportunity here for white. White is lining up the rook against black's king, and at some point you can see white pushing the pawn, the h pawn, in front of that rook again, and the black king will become too weak. Here it comes, the h pawn comes forwards. I don't like this at all for Alexandra. Her king just seems too weak here. I mean, the only chance is for the black queen to go forwards, but even that doesn't achieve a lot. Alina is playing great chess. She must be able to feel victory here at the moment.
Yes, she can smell it within her grasp, and now she's even grabbed the pawn. She's calculated that she is absolutely able to allow the black queen to come to the f3 square and give a check, because that's just a check. It's not actually doing anything else. And oh dear me, you can see Alexandra not happy with her position. You have to capture that pawn with the queen, unfortunately.
The thing is, if you capture that pawn with the queen, the white bishop comes in and attacks the queen, and you have to give up the rook.
Yeah.
If you take that pawn with your pawn, the white bishop comes and attacks the queen and wins the queen. I don't know what you can do here as black. I don't see a move. To my eyes, this looks like game over. It looks like the end, and I think Alexandra realizes that. Okay, she throws a check in, but how is she going to back this up? She's got to keep complicating.
And in fact, if you can do many things. You can go bishop takes knight, and you can just net material.
Many good moves for Alina. If she keeps her cool, she will win this game. But the nerves are going to play a part. Just don't think about the prize money. Don't think about going through to the next round.
So many good moves. You know, there's bishop takes knight on the board. There's actually stepping back with the bishop to attack the queen. I mean, take a look at the sleeping assassin. That rook on h1, it's going to come to life, and I reckon she comes forward. This is just as good. It blocks black's coordination. There is horrible pressure on the h7 pawn. It's indefensible.
What I like about this move is it blocks up the black rook, so it stops black's counterplay on that open line. So as well as attacking, Alina is defending. I love the way she moved that piece. She just moved it very calmly. I'd be shaking all the way, pushing that one there. Alexandra, to make things even worse, is very short on time. She's fighting all the way to the end. No, there's no point giving up now. This is your last chance in the competition.
And we do see a trade of bishops, and that's going to be followed up with the queen coming over to the h6 square. It really is game over for Alexandra Kosteniuk, and I love the way that Alina just keeps introducing new pieces into the attack.
I think it's got a little bit better for Alexandra here. I say that because it's still, I mean, has she only got 3 seconds? No, 9 seconds.
9 seconds.
But the reason I think it's got a little bit better is she's defended any immediate threats. She is only 1 pawn down. Her queen is now finding a bit more of a safe square. She might even be able to turn it around and get some play on the king side. It's not great. Alina's heart rate is going up. I think Alina realizes that she's missed something a bit easier, and this is still game on. Okay, white is 2 pawns up, but there's nothing immediate now. There's half chances here for Alexandra.
And I'll tell you something that will inspire Alexandra is Alina's clock time. It's now down to 10 seconds, and well, When the clock time goes down, the heat increases and the players start getting stressed.
Oh, what a move!
What a move!
I suddenly think that, hang on a minute.
Oh, no.
All of a sudden, Black is winning. Black has turned this around. This is incredible. The White Queen has taken a rook. The Knight comes in. This is completely collapsing for Alina. Never write off Alexandra, but they both are on 10 seconds. She sacrifices her rook. There is a big check, and she takes the rook. She's a whole rook up. How did that happen?
It just happened because Alina had a meltdown. It was the clock situation, and now Alexandra wins the f6 pawn, and she is just working her way towards securing that Armageddon.
I can't believe that.
What a turnaround.
Unbelievable. Black is somehow a whole rook up. It's a whole rook, and there's only tricks here available. There's still chances with no time, but Alina will be kicking herself so much after not winning this one. Can she get a draw though? She's oh no! Alexandra's blundered a knight back. You can feel the pressure here. And Alina is still fighting. Is this a draw?
It is a draw.
It's a draw. I can't believe it. She's got a perpetual check.
From nowhere.
Unbelievable game, this one. Absolutely unbelievable. Oh my words. And they're both... Oh, look at Alexandra's emotions there. She will be kicking herself. Okay, she was losing, but then she was a rook up. I mean, what can you do? All you can do is smile. And oh dear, that was the most dramatic game so far. Ends in a draw, Alina through, but wow.
What a roller coaster. I haven't seen the like. I mean, that was the most spectacular game, I have to say, of the tournament. I mean, it just kept us on the edge of our seats. It looked like Alina was in full control, playing the perfect game. And then, because of the clock time, the situation got crazy, and it was Alexandra who was just a clear rook up. And just when it looked like she was wrapping things up, she blundered a piece.
Then the reason the game ended, if you're not sure, is because the position was repeating itself. There was no way that Alexandra could escape the checks, but she wasn't in checkmate because she could still move, but repeating the position 3 times is a draw. Okay, we'll look at some highlights here, and there was a lot of highlights in that game. I mean, wow. I mean, they were both so short a time, it's understandable. Around about here, Alina was dominating. She pushes her H-pawn, she's opening up the black king, she's playing very calmly, very good chess, and it just looked like Alexandra would not last another 10 moves.
Yeah, incredible game. And then, well, here it's all gone wrong for Alina. You know, she's blundered away material, her king is unsafe, and Alexandra is in cruise control. There you go, another rook falls off the board, and so Alexandra is simply a rook up. But take a look at the clock times, because the clock times really, really did play such a huge impact on that game. They do say the clock is the 17th piece on the board.
It is.
Use it wisely.
It is.
And here comes the drawing blunder, and now Alina is able to secure a repetition and check the king for perpetuity.
And there was no way to escape the checks here. Whatever Black tried, it was always going to be a check. The White Queen just kept attacking the Black King, and it was trapped there, and that's why they agreed to draw, and that's why Alina went through. So we're now ready with an interview with the loser and David, so we'll go there now.
Yeah, we're here with Alexandra. Alexandra, that was a real heartbreaker. I think my heart is also pounding. How are you feeling right now?
Well, I mean, if you cannot win with a rook up, that's normal that the tournament is over for you. I mean, of course, I was completely lost in the second game, but then Alina gave me the whole game away, and I wasn't able to convert a completely winning position. So that's definitely, if your nerves don't behave like this, I mean, then you should not play blitz.
Well, we hope you still play blitz. But I also wanted to ask you about the second game. What kind of opening were you hoping to get? What was your strategy for the second? Were you trying to go for something really aggressive?
Well, just, I mean, any opening, it doesn't matter. You see that everything usually is decided on seconds, and I just wanted to avoid some like drawish lines, and the d5 line is considered to be, drawish. Black has to play carefully and make a draw, and when she played d5, I realized that I need to do something else in order to, just to keep the game going, but yeah, I ended up in a very bad position.
Somehow you just almost picked up the swindle, but now I want to ask you, how do you feel about the tournament overall? How do you think about the format, etc.?
Well, it's nice, but when you lose, of course, you're sad, and I'm sad that I wasn't able, I played well only in one match, and in 2 other matches I just blundered too much, and you cannot, afford such blunders even in blitz.
Final question we have for you, what's next for your chess career? Any tournaments upcoming?
Yeah, just too many tournaments. I'm going, like many of the girls from here, I'm going straight to Cyprus to play in the final Grand Prix. Final leg of the, and then immediately after that there is a Cairns Cup in US, and then the Global Chess League in Dubai, so it's pretty tense.
Wow, you have a packed schedule. Well, thank you for stopping by in Berlin, and it's been really a pleasure to have you here. And Simon, Jovanka, back to you.
Well, that was a nice, calm game of chess there. And we have the winner in the studio. And Alina, how on earth would you describe that last game in particular?
That was a crazy game. I don't know what happened. I got completely winning position out of the opening, and I thought I will mate or take the queen at some point, but then I blundered that that her queen is not trapped, that she actually can escape, and then suddenly I felt that I don't see anything, and my time was running low. And then I was completely lost. I was not even counting the piece I was rook down. Completely lost. And then I don't know what happened, but somehow it was a draw.
Yes. I think that summed it up pretty well, actually. We couldn't keep up with it either. It was like you were, just described like that. An amazing game. A lot of drama for us in the studio as well.
Right.
So,
It definitely felt like a roller coaster match. But going back to the first game, how did you feel after you beat Alexandra?
Well, I felt more confidence, of course, because at least I guaranteed myself an Armageddon, which is always fun. But also I felt that my play was not that bad during the first game, so I was quite confident. And then the second game started also quite well for me, so there was no reason to be worried.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a very interesting match, but you seemed to dominate. So both games really at certain points. The opening in the second game seemed to go really well for you, and we thought you were very brave to offer the pawn sacrifice line. So that was a good tactic.
Well, it was kind of preparation. It's known line, and I think that Alexandra wanted to avoid some forcing lines in order to get some play because she had to win.
Yeah, and did you have a plan for every scenario, or did you just think, no, I'm just going to stick to my repertoire?
No, I had a plan what to do in case I lose the first game. Then probably my choice for the second one would be different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we can have a look at the bracket now, so we can see where you're actually standing. So you are through to the next round. You're playing against Humpy. And what are your feelings about that match?
Well, it will be tough, of course. I saw a couple of games Humpy was playing here, and I was impressed how good she was on the low time.
Yeah.
But I hope it will be interesting.
And what kind of preparations do you do in the morning or in the afternoon?
Well, of course, I'm checking what my opponents are playing and thinking what are my opening choices, and in general, just I don't know if I can say some strategy for this game or something like this.
And I have to say, you did mention that you were superstitious. So have you found a new place to eat?
No, I decided to choose the new one completely today. But it was also lucky, so I don't know what should I do tomorrow.
There's a lot of places in Berlin,
yeah,
so you just got to keep
true.
finding something new, I guess. So well done, and we can have a look at now some highlights, and good luck with the rest.
Thank you very much.
And it's time to mention one of our partners, IT.com, the official partner of the Armageddon Championship Series. Is IT.com a domain registry like no other? It provides a platform for anyone to create innovative domains and effectively showcase their online presence. So don't miss this opportunity. Visit IT.com today and create your unique online image.
I wonder if Armageddon.com is taken. Probably, I reckon, but or Armageddon.it even. But yeah, a great day of chess, and that last match was just so exciting. And well, let's just have a look what we got in store tomorrow, because it only gets better.
It certainly does, because we do have 2 matches. First up in the upper bracket, we have Gunay Mammadzada against Bibisara Assaubayeva. Now, whoever wins that match will secure themselves a spot into the grand finale in September. And then we have Humpy Koneru against Alina Kashlinskaya. And whoever wins that will then face off against the loser between Gunay Mammadzada and Bibisara Assaubayeva.
Yeah, big. There's so much to play for, because the way this is structured is the top 2 players from the event, they go through to the grand final, and that is going to be something quite special. So it's going to be massive. But that was exciting today. I love that last game. If you want drama, you're in the right place. You're at Armageddon, and that was drama.
I know. I mean, what I love about this type of chess is it's real. It's full of emotions. It's full of drama. It's full of mistakes. It's full of precision. I love it to bits.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and I hope you join us for more drama, more pieces flying, more clocks going down, more tears, more laughter, and more or some Armageddon.
Yes.